the story that we are gathering on the unceded and unthreaded Algonquin and Anishinaabe First Nation territory. And we at Shared Services CSS, we honor all First Nations, Métis and Inuit peoples, their elders and their ancestors, and their valuable contribution to this land. Thank you very much, and over to you, Sergey.
All right, thank you, Paul. All right, so I just wanted you to give me a feedback if my window is shared while I'm doing this. Can you see me okay now?
Yes, it's fine. It's great.
All right, excellent. I just want to see, what about the icon here? All right. Just on my left side, I see the timer, but I want to see if I can move it out. And yes, I'm excited to deliver my knowledge here with you today. I think something that I'm sharing is very important. We call this workshop Cyber Safe, Fundamentals of Cybersecurity for Non-for-Profit Organizations, and what I believe everyone in this field should know. Yes, kind of excited about this. For those who don't know me, I've been in cybersecurity for quite a bit of time, ever since I was a kid, and I'm actually going to share my story here with you. I did publish my book on cybersecurity. It's called Hack Proof, which I'll give you a little bit more insight towards the end. But I would like to start this by this famous quote by Robert Miller, who was FBI director for quite a bit of time. And there are only two types of companies: those that have been hacked and those that will be. And it's a very powerful statement because he is right in terms of this. Hackers are basically using their technology to, during their efforts to steal money, and eventually they're going to get to everyone. And there's so many different things they can use to get into our data. So I want to start also tell you my quick story, and but before that, I usually ask this question: and how big is cybercrime as a GDP in the next year, for example? But since we don't have any feedback right now, and I'm the only one speaking, I'll tell you it is $10.5 trillion economy. It's this very big problem. A lot of money is in this industry, and today I'm going to show you why it happens and how to basically prevent yourself from cyber crime. So after U.S. and China economy, which is the largest economy, cybercrime is the third largest economy. And Canada, we're looking at 2.6 trillion, just to compare. In fact, let's talk about Canada. And when do you think, where does Canada sit when it comes to cybersecurity density? So in other words, what place is Canada on for cyber attacks? Well, it's actually in the third place after UK and US. So Canada is a big market for hackers. And there's an organizations that track that activities. And yes, Canada is important. That's why we're here today to talk. Now, what's more interesting for me, for example, I was really fascinated about this study. And there's a organizations called World Cybercrime Index that actually measures where cyber attacks coming from, not what they're targeting. And as you can see, the first two countries are actually Russia and Ukraine. That yes, a lot of majority of cyber attacks actually come from Russia and Ukraine. China's on third, and that's why I'm here today. I wanted to share the story from somebody who actually came from this country. I'm an immigrant to Canada from Russia over 20 years ago, and I can tell you that Russia and Ukraine has the same language in common, and also they have a similar education system in common, where this is just a picture of some young programmers in that part of the world, and it's because the federal education standard is a bit different in Russia and Ukraine. The informatics, or we call it computer science or informatics, how we call it in Russia, is actually been taught in middle and high schools. And I remember from my story, my grandfather taught me multiplying tables, and when I was still in preschool, before going to school, and the math, and so they're very heavy on the math. In fact, I've been doing IT since I was 12 years old, and I'm just throwing the slide here to tell you that IT is not a stressful job, but you probably seen this meme before. And Yeah, so I actually started when I was 12. When I first got my computer, it was Windows 95, and here's me. And I'm wearing what appears to be a curtain. I guess I grew up in a poor, like Russian town, and when I first got exposed to computers, it was around the time when my father passed away, unfortunately, and computer opened the world to me. In fact, as you see on this photo, there's a world of a map of the world, and I wanted to travel. I wanted to see the world, and internet and computers really opened this world to me. In fact, I also became an entrepreneur. I was finding ways how to actually can make money with this computer. It was not even connected to the internet, but I had a printer, which is not on the photo, and I was able to print, like school cheat sheets that I was making for myself to help me memorize the lections. But then people my classmates started asking me, Sergey, can I buy those from you? And I first started this business when I was 12 years old. And then my computers, this is how it looked like, those computers looked like at that time. It's about when we're talking about 95, late like around starting 2000s. All computers were kind of like you had to build it yourself. And I remember when I was taking apart this computer with my friend, we broke it, and I couldn't start it again. So I had to learn how to fix it. And it was not a Best Buy or Amazon at that time, so I had to go and learn how to repair a computer. And there's only one place to go. It was the radio market, where we would study, where I would find actual computer parts and learn more about it. And that's how a radio markets looked like at that time. You had to buy a little piece of memory or a computer chip and build and fix your own computer. So I learned as I go, and that's what inspired me actually to study computers, and that's what allowed me to be where I am now. But yeah, so just a quick story. When I was at that time, when I was looking for computer parts, I was approached by sellers of software and say, "Hey, kid, you know how to use computer? Can you help us with the selling the software?" And I said, absolutely, I love this. And as turned out, it was kind of illegal business, but in Russia, but it was everywhere where everybody was doing that. But as a teenager, I didn't know that, and so I was just fascinated about computers and needed to make money to fix that computer for myself. And one day, we even got busted. I didn't know that it was happening, but the police came in, put me in the car, and then what happened is it was actually a common thing. The boss came over and paid off, and it was kind of funny because this is how the business used to be in Russia. But it's very fascinating thing was actually this thing, which is the Hacker magazine. Hacker magazine it's normal magazine, like we would see, Men's Health, or but in Russia you would see this magazine, which is interesting because it's been around for over 25 years. In fact, this is a number 300. And it was just like from a couple of months ago. It's number 325 years of this magazine, and each edition was covering certain topic. And that's how I believe the hackers in Russia and Ukraine, started learning about what they were doing, because this was available to public. And it's actually, fascinating, because something like this here is considered to be highly illegal, where there you can actually, they teach you, they show you how to get into Skype, or how to break into iPhone, how to create your flashcard killer here. It's something like this. So it was very fascinating, and that's why I started learning more about cybersecurity and understanding what hackers are actually doing, and I became a little expert on hackers. In fact, I remember before starting moving to Canada, I started my computer business where we were doing internet cafe, and then this is my friends who were teenagers, and I was 18 at that time, and then just before I went to university. I ran this business, but then what happened is I had some incident with, we had people coming in demanding money from my business. I realized that it's not the best way to survive, because it's kind of dangerous. Running a business in Russia was kind of tough. So I decided to pursue my education, computer science, and eventually moved to Canada. And now this is where I am. I started here again doing some IT work, and eventually grew my business. We're now helping organizations with their cybersecurity needs and IT needs, and just we do IT, managed security. We're helping businesses stay protected from hackers. And our mission, just like when I was a kid, when I was attacked by Russian mafia, for say, now we are protecting companies from mafia, but in the cybercrime. And hoping this story will explain you my passion to IT and cybersecurity and why I'm doing that. So let's dive more into actual what I call the hacker timeline, which is, I think this is the main topic of this training, would be to go through this attacker timeline. It explains you how hackers actually trying to get into your data, and there's 4 different stages. We call it research and preparation stage, where hackers collecting data on you. Second is the actual, like when they compromising your information and getting in your emails, computers, banks, or even physical offices. And this is very interesting part number 3, which I'm going to be talking and covering, where attacker is undetected, or we call it a data exfiltration, period. And this is an interesting period because companies don't even know whether they're hacked or not. If you remember my first slide, it's important to know whether you've been hacked or you will be hacked. So it's this stage right here. And lastly, there's a recovery stage. And I put a dollar signs here just to explain to you that each stage, it's actually more costlier than the previous one, especially the recovery stage. Recovery stage, when you already know that you've been breached, some data has already been online, some passwords, and maybe a ransomware, and it's very expensive to actually do the recovery and get to that last stage. It's important to invest your money and knowledge into the first stages, where you actually prevent from hacker attacks to be happening. There's big numbers. We're talking about the global population right now. It's 8 billion. Internet users, are connected users, are 5 billion, and unfortunately 50% of those users have been already compromised. So a lot of people reporting cyber activities nowadays. But it's interesting, 90% of cyber attacks are actually caused by human error or behavior, and it's very important to understand that. So it's not about putting an antivirus in place or something, policy, password manager. It's actually educating people. And I commend you for staying and being here with me today, because I believe that people could be the solution to this problem. Like humans can actually protect themselves. And we just need to know a few things. And today we're going to touch base on this important topic. We're going to break it down into 4 pieces, and hoping you're going to learn something that will help you become that protector of your company, of your business, or even your family. Because cybersecurity is I believe touches not just businesses but also everyday people. So research and preparation. So before I even start, I like to showcase some tools that hackers use. So this USB stick you can buy on Amazon. It's called Kali. And it's completely legal because it's an open source software. But what it does is, if you put this into your computer, or used computer, it creates the version of operating system that's only hackers use. So it's designed for hackers. All the tools are available there, and it's interesting because it's really available online, and you don't even need to know how to download it. You can just buy one on the computer. You just put a USB stick in the computer, and it becomes a hacker's computer. So as I study hackers, I'm trying to learn what they do and how they do things. So it's very important for you to know that it is very accessible. So hackers can use tools that's not available on other computers. They can create their own tools or buy tools that's available on the market. So let's start with OSINT. OSINT is very interesting technology. It's basically a term that hackers use or security professionals use. It's a method of legally obtaining information about individual. So other words, it's a footprint. Everything online has its own footprint. So think about, social media, obviously. You have forums, you have, actual accounts that's being broken, like somebody, some websites becoming, breached, and information becomes available online. So this is the first thing. It's kind of very important to follow. And I'll give you one example. It's just kind of very scary. So LinkedIn, everybody knows LinkedIn, but LinkedIn is actually one of the tools that hackers use to get backend information about the people from LinkedIn. So it's like a backdoor to LinkedIn. So all you need to do is just enter domain name of the the company, and you can actually get all the email addresses. This is the sample doc. It's not the real people, but you can, in fact, again, there's a tool that you can actually get that can be preloaded on the computer, that you can actually get everybody's emails in targeted company. So again, some people don't know that, oh, how do they get my email in the first place? But it's very simple, especially the larger companies that has like 200 employees, 300 employees. You can actually massively produce those email addresses. There's other tools online, like ID Crawl, for example. It's a large people's database. You can actually put first and last name of the person. You can do reverse email, reverse phone. You can find all the information about the people. So hackers use information about people to lure you into certain behaviors, I would say. So they want to collect as much information as possible. They also do face search on you to learn more about how you look like, so you can they can use this photos against you if they want to create a fake profile. So there's a website called Pim Eyes, and the truth is there's many websites available like this, but Pim Eyes, there's billions of photos, and you can just upload your own photo. It's a paid service, but hackers get paid a lot, and they can have access to a lot of services like this. So there's also tools like Showdown, for example. You can find access to devices. We all know that the smart devices are the thing in our houses, in our work environments. By IP address, you can actually find if the information is open on your network, and they can access your cameras and things like this. Showdown gives you it's like a Google for internet devices, and there's already lots of information already uploaded there. You just need to go and grab it. Mainly it's US, Europe, as you can see, a lot of devices are online and they are unprotected. So my lesson here is be aware what you share. I always recommend to stop, sharing personal information. Check the settings on your social media accounts. The photos, all the photos are being transcribed and going to AI. Anything to do with, I see big problems with people posting their new job, and for instance, here's a badge of a new job, #new job. Bad no, because hackers can actually use this information against you. So another thing is very important is the data, the passwords. The passwords, there's such thing called dark web, and I can answer questions. Feel free to put your passwords, put your questions in your chat, so I can answer them for you at the end. But there are passwords on the dark web that could be your passwords could be revealed on the dark web. So it's very important to check. Do you have passwords that on dark web or not? Your passwords on dark web. So there are tools that you can check this information for free, and I can show it to you at the end. So again, research and preparation is quite important. Let's talk about the compromisation part, that where actually how the hackers get into your system. What's the most common way to do it? And as turned out, the common ways is actually the phishing email. The phishing that spells with a PH. You've probably all heard of it. Again, 91% of cyber attacks, the same idea. It's because it's one of the common ways for people to get lured into revealing the password to hacker. So I'll show you actually. You know that I wrote this book, Hack Proof, which is Amazon bestseller. But a couple of years ago, I also published this book. It's called How to Destroy Your Business in One Click on Kindle. And that book completely is really about that. It's about a story of a person, how he got all the money was stolen by just clicking in one click, and he had to shut down his business. So phishing, phishing is there's 3 different types of phishing attacks in theory. Like larger, there's other ones as well where you can get phished by phone, for example. But today we're going to talk about mainly phishing, spear phishing, and whaling. I would say spear phishing is more important because it targets individuals. It targets the person, so you can actually. It's hard to recognize those emails sometimes because they target you directly, and we could talk on how hackers actually do that. And if you remember that my first slide with the hacker's laptop, there's another tool called GoFish on it, and GoFish on it, it's a simulation. Or not even simulation, it's a real framework for phishing. So it could be used by good guys like us, but it could be used by bad guys like hackers. So GoFish is basically a program, and all you need is you don't even need a computer. You can actually install it on a virtual server. Hackers love Amazon. Everybody is using Amazon, and hackers can go on Amazon, and they offer a 90-day free web server, and they can just download it, a couple of clicks of the button, and boom, and you install it. And now it runs on the server for 90 days, and you can create a fake email account, and that's what hackers do. So the next thing they do is they create phishing campaign. It's like a marketing campaign where you're sending inviting somebody for a webinar, for example. The hackers create phishing campaigns, but in this case, they actually can manipulate their email address, where it's coming from. It could come from any email address if you not careful to look for the email address, but they can actually tweak that email address from this platform. They can generate HTML HTML code to look exactly like a real email. And that's how, basically this is just a piece of screenshot. I also show the live demo of GoFish campaign, which is kind of interesting. Anyway, in order to lure you in and to make this really important, there's a tool called Worm GPT. It's like ChatGPT, but it's the biggest enemy of ChatGPT. It's basically hackers GPT, where they can actually create very good-looking email address, emails that you can click to expose your data. Now, there's also another one just recently appeared. It's called Fraud GPT. And Fraud GPT, it can write even viruses. It can create basically scripts that's when people click on the link, that execute things like sending your passwords from a Chrome to them. And yes, it's a bit more expensive than ChatGPT, but it has no limits. It has all kinds of stuff. And, like I said, it's a big business. Hackers make a lot of money, but they can also spend a lot of money on tools like this, which, we don't even have access to. So my goal is here to educate you and tell you that this is what hackers use to, and and that it's very important to understand that the emails that you might see might not be a real email. And it's not that hard to recognize it. I can show to you later. So another thing, what we see, people do mistakes. As I said, like 90% of people are the cause of this problem. They put fake USBs in their they put USBs in their computers when they find them somewhere. In fact, there's a study made that when you leave the USBs in the washroom or in the workplace with something written on it, people tend to go and check, what is this? What's on it? And here's there's a USB called rubber ducky, we call it, and hackers use this all the time. It's basically a microcomputer in the form of flash drive. And you just need to put it inside of the computer and it will execute the command. So it's basically very similar to when you click on the link in the email. But in this case, you put the USB in the computer and it starts execution. So it can send all your passwords, it can do ransomware, it can do anything. So be careful what you put in the computer. Sometimes people put sending somebody a courier to deliver something, and there's an envelope with somebody's name on it. And yeah, so this is a real thing. Another thing I wanted to tell you about help desks. When hackers, it's much easier for a hacker to reveal the password rather than steal it, or so they call companies, and especially they call help desks, and help desk do what? Well, they helpful. They give them the passwords and they give them other things. So there's um, and it's really it's this called spoofing, where when the hackers can change the caller ID on the phone when they call you. Just like I showed you the tool GoFish, where you can change the email address they're sending email from to somebody else's email. You can change the phone caller ID, and they can pretend that it's your colleague calling from the same company, or it could be they can try to call a help desk company to, and the whole point is to utilize this social engineering, where they need to understand the people. The more information they know about you, remember from stage number one, the better they will be at luring you into certain things. Nowadays, they use AI as well. There are tools that can scan your voice. So so you can scan the voice and they can call pretending it's this person. Literally, you can just type and talk through the phone. It's just very scary. So what's the lesson here? Well, I'm going to give you some help here. You don't want to trust your caller ID. So scammers can use special software to change the caller ID. So I advise obviously there's call blocking techniques. You can also come up with the password or a phrase that you want to use in case of if the call sounds too revealing. So again, this is the known thing, and things are happening. If somebody really wants to get into your account, they're going to try calling and doing spoofing. It's just kind of important. Another thing, since we're in Ottawa, I was recently talking about this issue, and a lot of vehicles got stolen in Ottawa so far this year, and it's a big issue, and it's all because of these devices, Flipper device, and there are many other devices. But as turned out, this Flipper device, it's basically a tool that physical tool. They can crack into anything, any wireless codes, like your garage door, or a car, opening the car. Obviously, that's why the car theft is on the rise in Ottawa. But you can use this device to steal your credit card data, for example, or your code to your office, for instance. Anything wireless could be hacked. In fact, the keyboards could be even hacked. The wireless keyboard, somebody can sit and intersect the signals from your keyboard. This is a very common situation where hackers create the fake Wi-Fi's. And again, these tools that's available online, you can buy one for, I believe, $300 online to mimic the Wi-Fi signal. And once the victim connects to this Wi-Fi signal, which looks like good, it's free Wi-Fi. Let's say it's in a coffee shop or in a hotel or at the conference. It can, again, do exactly the same thing as if you would click a link, or if you would put that bad USB in your computer. It would lure you in. It would just take the information and execute everything that hackers wants you to do. For example, you can it can send all the passwords, typically reading your keyboard strokes, so you can see what you're typing, which website you're going to, but also like read your screen and all kinds of different things. So it's important to use, it's important to use things like the RFID blocker on your wallet. Obviously, not connecting to public Wi-Fi. If you feel, always ask staff to which Wi-Fi to use. Never just assume. Some hackers even put QR codes on and just put a label on a QR code label to replace the real Wi-Fi label, the QR code. So it's a common problem as well. I want to talk to you about the type of squatting as well, which is a strategic typos that hackers use to create fake domains. So I wanted to show you some samples here. Again, you can register a domain name for $5, and there are still a lot of domains that's available. And when people in a panic, they don't really check the domain names. Like, for example, Home Depot, it's from the back, like it's really looks similar. So just also very important to look at the domain names, just read them and make sure it's correct. So there's always spelling mistake almost on. So there's domain names that you can actually buy that looks very, very similar. This is interesting one. It's where you can actually use different keyboard layout to mimic the domain name. So this is a very interesting example. As you can see, the letter A here is different because it's written using Cyrillic alphabet. In fact, in Russian alphabet or Cyrillic alphabet, there are certain keys that's actually very similar. As you can see, K, A, the C, it's S in Russia, O. So it's very important to know and be able to recognize that. So in your case, advice I would give, it's almost impossible to recognize that sometimes with the human eye, and it's important to use tools that will scan your emails to actually give you the information if the email is okay or not. Unfortunately, Google and Microsoft, those email providers, they don't they put security in place, but they're not guaranteeing. In fact, in their agreements, they say that the user is responsible themselves for security and backup of their data. So there are tools available that you can use to scan your emails. It's kind of using AI mechanisms, and I can show you as well what tools to use. At the end of the day, we all know passwords. I've educated passwords for many years and utilizing two-factor authentication, which is passwords standard. Just having a password or a long password is not enough. You actually need to have unique passwords for all your websites, for all your services, and you need to change them often. So to do that, you can't do it yourself. You need to have a password manager, but you also need to have two-factor authentication, which is an app on your phone that can let you in to your resource using the secondary password. So I believe everybody knows, but I'll be happy to talk about this. This issue alone will prevent many hacker attacks from happening. Security awareness training is in phishing simulations and trainings. It's no longer optional in the companies. We used to many years ago. We started were optional, but now cyber insurance companies require that. It's kind of becoming a norm now, and so ask your providers to make sure that they all do phishing simulations. So. Simulation is when somebody sends you an email, your IT department, your good guys, that looks like fake email and looked like a real email. But your goal is to recognize that. If you recognize that, you get a point, and they're gonna create a system and show the leadership who is more resilient to cyber phishing attacks, right? And security awareness training is something what we do now. You and me, I'm educating you on security right now, and having this often is important. I know October is Cybersecurity Awareness Month, but it's important to do it on a regular basis. It's on a weekly basis, receiving information, and that's something IT departments needs to do. Pen testing is a very important thing. So pen testing is like friendly hacking. It's when you or penetration testing is when we're trying to test your system is if it's actually um, hackable or not. So you can hire a third-party company to come to your organization and say, here, we would like to know if we're secure or not. Can you do pen test for us? And it could be pretty affordable. There's some of the companies that can offer it for free. You can hire security students to do it for you. But this is actual actual process to test if your business is safe or not. I can talk more about this. Stefan Napo is one of the famous security guys, cybersecurity. Rather than fearing or ignoring cyber attacks, do ensure your cyber resilience to them. So yeah, you do need to kind of put things in place, understand how everything, how hackers are working, and try to test your systems. So yeah, so pen testing really comes in this orange category where you want to find out whether a system is hackable or not. So this is a very interesting stage. It's a data exfiltration stage. So statistically, over 200 days, more than 200 days on average, hackers can be in your system without being detected. So that's why it's important to know, how do you know if the hackers are not reading your emails right now, if they're not in your system, not in your building. So there are devices like Pineapple Hack. I have this with me. I always show these devices when I do in-person trainings. I have a whole case of these devices. So there's different ways how hackers can be in your system. One of them is through Wi-Fi. So they can actually sit on your Wi-Fi using a device like this. So they can, if you're in a big building, they can fly on the roof or fly using a drone or drive using a car. We call it ward driving, that collects all the Wi-Fi signals and then once it's open, they can come in anytime. We actually building our own war hacking machine to educate people on how it works. This is interesting as well. We call the OMG cable, or it looks like a USB charging cable for your phone. This one is iPhone, for instance. But once you put this in the computer or a phone, a hacker, on the other hand, can really run the command similar to that USB stick that I was showing you. But it's important to know some people using these cords without even knowing that they're bad. And how do you know? Well, there's actually to let you know, it's a little device. It's called Data Blocker. It's only cost $20. I have it here on the camera, but I can show it to you later. So if you can see this little computer, it's in the tip of the cord. It's crazy how you can get computers so small nowadays. So yeah, tip is not to make sure that you're using only authorized cords from Apple and or from Android. Like you can always check and do test your cord using data blocker. Sometimes hackers use sit in your system by using a device called it's right here. It's a little, we call it key crock. It's the keyboard. It basically takes all the keystrokes from your systems and then sends it all over. So it just collects data that you type, typically looking for passwords, looking for usernames that's not on your computer, but basically it's like and it could be a device that's connected to your computer. It's not necessarily could be a virus on your computer. It's just a physical device, and we start sometimes seeing them in the computers connected to the computer at the back, and it looks like a regular piece of wire, but it is the device that's malicious. Yes, computers' credentials, the passwords. It's quite important, and the dark web. If you remember, I was talking to you about dark web monitoring, where again, your password that you're using today could be online available, so somebody else can use it. So that's very important to find out whether the passwords are leaked online by using the dark web scan for your passwords. So sometimes I do the scan for people and they say, wow, this is my password. I need to go and change it right away. So absolutely. Well, not just you need to change it now, but you need to change it on an ongoing basis, and you need to follow certain policy, like every 3 months or every 6 months. Change your passwords, update your password manager. Let's talk about recovery stage, because I think this is a critical stage. This is something we want to avoid, but I always like to talk about it because remember that slide with the number signs, dollar signs. It's very costly. So this is where this money is. This is where how hackers get a lot of money. They can either hack into your bank account and wipe it, or they can put a ransomware for you, and they ask you to pay for things. So ransomware is basically it's going up every year, and in fact, if you remember some in early days, hackers used to attack people and asking for ransomware if because people were storing pictures on their computers. In the digital cameras, you were storing pictures, and then you didn't want to lose all your photos because you didn't have copies. So that's where hackers started the ransomware business. But they realized that companies can pay much more. In fact, small businesses can pay much more. And they're being targeted right now. In fact, 80% of ransomware victims now are small businesses. Mainly it's because small businesses don't have a proper protections in place. They don't do any education on that. They don't have budgets. They think they don't have budgets for this, and hackers are attacking lots of ransomware. Lots of businesses going out, because of the ransomware attacks. So even like these small mom and pop businesses, this ramen or bagel boss or Libretto Pizzeria. It's just a simple example, but it's typically the companies that have under 10 employees, or I find that really become a big victim. But it's really, for us, it's where we did research on our end. It's under 50 employees or under 5 million in revenue. So this is something that I hear all the time when I approach somebody new, a prospect, for example, that I think I can help, and they say that I'm confident that my small business is secure and not vulnerable to cyber attacks. So they actually have confidence because they might have an IT guy, or they have a company they're working with, and it's really, this could be one of their last words, because they don't know, that the hackers could be already in their system, because they don't know whether They think that having an antivirus or having the video, people watch the video training sometimes, it's enough, but it's not enough. It's actually, there's a little bit more work required to be protected. And that sense of overconfidence that's really kind of, causing the problems in this world of cybercrime. So one of five businesses have no plans to deal with cyber attacks, and it's very important to have that plan. So incident response plan, that's very important. On this slide, I wanted to show you what are the things that typically recommended to do before on each of the stages of the hacker attack timeline. Obviously, awareness training, this is where we are now. We're learning about it, we're understanding that, and preventing, finding the information on the dark web, removing things, cleaning it up, educating your people, and it's very important to do awareness training. So pen tests, what I mentioned, it's very important at this stage. Kind of want to test your system. Make sure the hackers don't go in, so your system is not compromised. So data exfiltration usually happens when your systems are not monitored 24/7. You need to have systems that's monitored by your IT department. We call it real-time cybersecurity. You need to monitor your network, your computers, and your email accounts 24/7. So, because again, how do you know if tomorrow they're not in the system? And if they sit for more than 200 days, that's where the ransomware happens, because they need to sit in your system to learn a little bit more about you, to monitor your bank accounts, to monitor your emails. So if you prevent them from being in your system at early days, or even prevent them from even coming to your system, that's the goal. And if you do have a breach, data breach, it's important to have these three systems: incident response preparedness, that's hard to see here, incident response preparedness plan, RTP, cyber insurance, having a cybersecurity insurance, and it's quite important as well, because again, there are companies who are going to be hacked, and those are who were hacked before. So cyber insurance companies know that it's going to happen sooner or later. Having a backups is also very critical. Now, not every hacker is after your data. Many hackers are after your bank, right? So after your money, but when they go into the data and they know that you have no backups, that's where they demand ransomware. But having a backup sometimes prevents from them taking over your data. So yeah, so things like this, managed security, pen testing, doing IT related work that helps you secure your system is quite important. My personal take on this, and if I would leave you today with just one thing, is to really, to protect your business, we must understand hackers, their tools, their motives, and methods. Understanding cybersecurity starts with understanding the hacker, and that's my quote. But I do like this quote a lot from Robert Mueller, and it is on my book. When it starts, I start my book with this quote. It's quite powerful, quite important. If you want to find Robert Mueller online, he's a very smart man. I do wanted to end here. We're going to open up for questions as well, and I wanted to get the feedback from today's workshop with you. I know we're not ended yet, but I am offering some bonuses for you guys. They're all free, and you can scan the code or get into this link. And then we're offering, if you like what I teach, and if you don't have a good awareness program, you can actually receive video email from me for free every week. And we call it Cybersecurity Awareness Training, or we call it Hack-Proof Academy. I can also give away a copy of my book for free today for everyone who's here, but in a digital version. And we also have audiobook, by the way. So if you need a PDF or Audible, let me know. And lastly, I offer 15-minute hack-proof score assessment. You can do it yourself, but we typically help clients with that. It's called hack-proof score. It basically gives you a little bit more information about your particular situation and what you can do to improve your systems. And with that, I wanna end here. I'll leave the slide here if it's okay.